Hey, welcome back. You're watching the Thursday edition of Liquid Lunch on Newsmax TV. I want to point out our good friends over at Division 8 under the leadership of Chief Gorman. They're tuned in again, and many people are messaging me about what's happening with my global warming climate change experiment. Here it is. As you can see, the Arctic ice that I had in there, the big pile of ice is melting, but the water has not displaced in any way, shape, or form. I'm going to keep that experiment going. And no experiment at all when we have Pavlina Osta joining us here, because she always delivers. Yeah, there it is. It's still not overflowing for those of you who think it is. It's fine. Pavlina Osta is a producer with Salem Media. She's one of the producer of the Mike Gallagher radio show, heard here in New York on AM 970, theanswer.com. And if God had a podcast, she'd be the host, because she is the host. Hello,
Hi, John.
Pavlina.
How's it going?
How are you?
Happy New Year.
Now, today, I see the topics you want to look at, and one really hits home with me.
Yeah,
it's
sure.
Narcissists in the workplace, which I am. And
Great.
I really, as always, you really deliver, because there are some helpful tips in here. Nico's raising his eyebrows over there, but here's the guy who edits his managing editor, and he's calling me a narcissist. Figure that one out.
I mean, we work in a very narcissistic business.
We do.
We do.
Right?
So it's okay. Yes.
So talk to us about, what do people need to know about being in the workplace with a coworker who's a narcissist?
Well, for starters, how do they recognize if they have a coworker who's a narcissist?
Well, narcissists are all about themselves. So there's a lot of different factors that you can look for when you're looking at a narcissist in the workplace. But I think it's really interesting. Like, this whole thing is really interesting just because millennials are more narcissistic. There's a lot of studies that are coming out just showing how the percentages of narcissistic behaviors are increasing with them, and yeah, it was an interesting study.
So some of the notes I'm looking at here, apparently there are a few different degrees of narcissism.
Right.
You have your standard narcissist, then you have the vulnerable narcissist, and then you have me, the grandiose
narcissist. Yes.
This is the one you got to look up to, because it says, and Frank will identify with this right away, a grandiose narcissist may not listen as effectively as they
They
could.
only care about their opinions. They only care about themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not like that at all.
No, of course not.
So let's say you end up in a workplace, whether it's with a millennial or someone or a Gen Xer or whomever, that is a narcissist. How do you make sure that their narcissism doesn't play a negative role in doing your own job?
No, of course, and it can be very distracting, which is why it's an important thing to confront them, to basically realize what their personality is, and kind of go about that in a productive manner. So
let me give some tips. Like I just talked to DJ Jaffe, anytime where there's an issue, a problem, the first step in solving the problem is admitting there's a problem. So,
yes, that's right.
I'm a narcissist. And it says here, one of the things, I'll tell you firsthand, narcissists want to be in the leadership. They want their voices to be heard, and they want their ideas to be adopted by everyone. So if you're working in a team with narcissists, and you got one task and they have another task and another task, you can't always believe that they're going to do their task to make your task look good. Sometimes they may make you fail so that they look better.
That's exactly what narcissists do. So yeah.
So what other kind of narcissists are out there that people need to look out for?
Well,
Besides the grandiose?
And then the vulnerable, and yes, okay, so those are the most common. But I think when it comes to that, because it's a really good point, that they do tend to want to make themselves look better. I don't know, I think it's always just good to be a team player when it comes to that kind of thing. It's just kind of maybe mention to the boss, be like, okay, this is what's going on, or explain the situation.
So now when you've got past the evil, grandiose narcissist in the office place, and you want to kind of be in a good teamwork environment there, there's a new study out that says a little kindness in the workplace lets people bond and mesh together.
Yeah, I saw this study as well around the holiday season. I thought it was nice. So it's just one of those things where it's little acts of kindness around the office place, make people more confident in their work. It's just kind of overall, helps with depression, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, just bring some cookies into the office place,
Well, this is interesting because I always thought that this was the case, but then I see, the situation here at Liquid Lunch.
Sure.
And John's nice to people. He gives them off Christmas Eve and does that. And then all of a sudden, nothing gets done. We're off the air. Things aren't working. We can't
I had a
broadcast.
suggestion box going, which was kind of democratic.
But then when he gets mean again and starts yelling at everybody, everyone starts doing their jobs again.
Right.
So is there a point where maybe you can be a little too kind?
That is possible, completely. Like if there's too much freedom, then people tend to go a little wild. But I think it's more like among your coworkers. Like I think when John's in like a leadership position, he has to be a little bit more
right.
Diplomatic and has to kind of lead the little ones, But when it comes to like coworkers and everything, you never know what someone. Yeah, that's right. Good job, Don. Perfect.
I'm
Yes.
just gonna pat myself.
Of course.
All right. Now, there's been a lot of attention paid recently to organ donation
Yeah.
because there's a lot of increased incidences of things like kidney failure, liver failure, and we've spent a lot of time talking about organ donation. A friend of mine just married someone who gave away her kidney. A friend of mine gave a kidney to a brother-in-law of his. But you raised the question that everybody in this era is talking about 3D printing, including for health purposes.
Right.
Why are we not yet scientifically in a place where we can print out organs instead of harvesting them from living donors?
Right. Okay. So this is absolutely fascinating. So 3D printing, basically the reason we're not able to do this yet is like the printing is not complex enough. Like the biometrics, they're not like the structures aren't there completely. But it would be saving millions of lives, obviously, because you're not waiting for an organ to be donated to you, and you're not going to be, your body doesn't have to worry about the rejection process just because they can make it like a customized fit with the 3D printing, which is really interesting. So
how far along are we with respect to?
I think they're pretty close. It's one of those things that like they've been working on for a while now, and it's just a matter of like getting the structure and the printing properly, getting it complex enough,
Fantastic. And speaking of organs, it might take like 2 years to make a 3D printer of the organ in the Atlantic City Boardwalk Hall. That was one of the biggest organs in the world.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the biggest pipe organ in the world.
Different type of organ.
Right.
That's true.
Organ, nonetheless. Pavlina Osta always brings us the good stories that everyone wants to know about. Be careful of those narcissists in your workplace.
That's right.
And quick note, in China, when we're talking about a little kindness goes a long way, they examine the effects of employers enhancing the lunches of bus drivers with fresh fruit. And it found that it reduced depression and increased their confidence. So
yes.
anyone who wants to help me with my narcissism problem, maybe replace my lunch with some fresh fruit.
That's right.
And I'll be a little kinder, gentler JT into 2020. Pavlina, thank you so much.
Thank you, John.
Thank you for being there. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back with some man on the street where Derek's asking people the questions of the day. And then we'll wrap it up with the WTF, What the Facts, when Frankie corrects all the mistakes I made in today's show. Right after this.